Jaylo,
Yeah.
you and I talked last night.
Yes.
And I was excited to come over here, get some free food. But then, World War I technology failed on us again, babes.
On me, not you. On me. You got all the technology you need, though.
Yeah, because, again, it's more modern.
Oh, goodness.
Tell you something.
Unbeknownst to me, I was wondering why my cord was not charging my laptop. And I checked my cord after a while and I'm like, oh, there's a break in it. And I've always tried to keep my cords making sure that they were in good condition, but somehow it got a break in it and I'm not sure when that happened. And that just happened to me yesterday afternoon. So now I've got to order another one.
I put in, and I'm sure there's a specialty shop that has those cords.
Yes.
I put in a Walmart order for this morning.
Uh-huh.
You go downstairs at around 8:55.
Yeah. Because
I checked the update on my iPad and it said the groceries will be here in 7 minutes.
Uh-huh.
But that was not the case.
No, it was longer. I'm not even sure how long it was.
It was more like a half hour.
That's happened to me. That's happened to me the last time. They've been a little bit late.
Yeah, sorry. I just burped a couple times.
That's okay.
That
I've done this all morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's okay. We got pretty much everything that that you ordered, and we just had a couple lemon cakes.
Those are good.
It was really good.
Yeah. I also ordered some red velvet cake, but that had to be replaced with carrot cake.
And I like carrot cake,
mm-hmm.
and we're gonna compensate that because we've got the Fudge Tracks ice cream, and I think that'll be a good compliment to the carrot cake.
Yeah, I mean, Health and Fitness is coming over to my place on Monday for the photo shoot, so that gives me plenty of time to burn off the calories.
Health and Fitness
magazine?
No, that's funny.
Oh,
that is funny.
Yes.
Well, if you're planning to audition as an aspiring male model, that wouldn't work for you.
Oh my goodness!
But I have heard that you are a very handsome guy. So
thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Are you playing with your box over there?
No, it's my phone.
Nice.
I'm just tapping on my.
Oh, good.
Box. You and box.
Oh, my goodness. I got up at around 3:35 this morning.
Let me move this. Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I got up at 3:44,
yeah,
so I wasn't too far.
I
went back to sleep. Yeah.
And I decided to read more of this book on William Paley, who is one of the founders of CBS.
Really?
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't know.
It's interesting, his dad was this guy whose fortunes went up and down in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then through an odd series of events, he gets into the radio business, puts his son in there, and CBS is kind of born as a corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a super interesting story. He was married twice. He had a lot of affairs on both of his wives.
Wow.
He was very distant with his children. He was hard to work for. He played a lot of guessing games in the office.
Sounds like some people that I know of.
Sounds like some people you know of because you've heard me badmouth.
Yes, absolutely, I did.
Hein Cafe.
I didn't hear them. I didn't hear the end of it.
You still haven't. But this isn't meant to
badmouth anyone at the movie.
Yeah, not in that one. So just a nice little passive aggressive shot right there. Uh-huh. But anyways, moving beyond that, he became really close with Edward R. Murrow. Mm-hmm. But then, after World War II, Murrow started doing things like questioning the House Un-Americans activities and McCarthy, the McCarthy hearings. Their friendship kind of went downhill after that. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting book.
Wow.
I think it's called, actually, hold this and I'll tell you the name of it. Mm-hmm. Hold on there, Jaylo. Mm-hmm. It is called...
So while he's doing that...
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. In All His Name, the life of William S. Paley, the legendary tycoon, and his brilliance circle.
Wow.
When you were downstairs...
Yes?
I was reading about Truman Capote's relationship with William S. Paley's second wife. Mm-hmm. And I told you about that this morning, that they were super close friends. Mm-hmm. Capote wrote a book, and I don't remember the name of it, but they published some excerpts of it in Esquire magazine. And it was basically an attack on William S. Paley.
Wow.
It had a character with a different name. Oh. And the Paleys were like very, very upset with Capote because of this. And
she was friends with him
they were like best friends.
Wow.
At least that's the way the book makes it sound.
Okay.
And the Esquire excerpts came out when she was battling lung cancer.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
She was only in her late 50s, I think, when she got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible.
And it also talks about his relationship with Frank Stanton, who was, kind of his second in command at CBS. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
There was a discussion in the book about color television. Mm-hmm. Apparently, CBS did a color broadcast in 1951. But there was something went on with the FCC, and they suspended experiments with color television until a few years later.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an interesting book. It also talked about how they enticed Jack Benny away from NBC, and they paid him something like $4.5 million in 1949 to come to CBS, when it was mainly just in radio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
Interesting. I don't know much about him, but it sounds like a really interesting book. Mm-hmm. And didn't you say that somebody in his circle said that there wasn't a day that he wasn't having an affair on his wives?
Somebody, I think, may have said that in jest.
Okay.
But the main point is probably true, that he cheated a lot, as a lot of executives did back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But his wives also got a lot of money. And there was this case where a woman killed herself by jumping out of a window.
Yeah.
And she left a note for William Paley.
Really?
Yeah, this was in, I want to say, 1940, thereabouts.
Yeah.
It was during his first marriage. But it was this huge scandal.
So she left, was it one of his mistresses?
Yes.
Oh. Wow.
And they were able to hide it from the public, but his first wife found out about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not good.
Super interesting story, babes.
Wow. So how many children did he have with his both of his wives?
Okay, so his first wife and him adopted 2 kids. And when he remarried, his second wife already had 2 kids that it implied like he cheated them like they were his own children.
Right.
And then they had 2 more kids.
Oh.
But he also didn't treat any of the kids that good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guy had some issues.
Very distant. Yelled at his sons a lot.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Not good.
No.
Well, if he wasn't good in his marriages, then that would, that would make sense that he wasn't going to be good with his kids either.
Yes.
That's too bad, Babu.
I go into a clubhouse room fairly frequently and recommend books.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for something to recommend. So the club or the room is typically focused on self-help books.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed when you talked about that.
But I'm usually the one who throws something interesting in the mix. And it's gotten to the point now to where the host, when she calls on me, she's like, okay, Rick, I know I can count on you to recommend a book that I haven't heard about before.
Right.
So now there's this weird pressure I have to try to come up with something interesting, but it's fun.
Well, why does it have to be a self-help book?
It doesn't, no, when I do it, I don't do self-help books.
Oh,
anymore.
okay.
I always try to throw it off a little bit. So, for example, what did I I recommended the book Tunnel People this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yes. I don't know what I'm going to do next week.
Wow.
Yes. Jaylo.
Yes?
Have you been reading anything?
Yes, I have. I'm still on, I'm getting towards, I believe I'm getting towards the middle of the second, Left Behind book, which is called Tribulation Force. And it basically centers around, 4 people right now in the group that are dealing with, the 7-year, the events of the 7-year tribulation that is mentioned in the book of Revelation. And, all these things are happening. They discover in the first book who the Antichrist is. And there's a tree that's supposed to be signed with Israel. And, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go into it because there's a lot of things going on. And then 2 of the characters are on the fence of starting a relationship because of how topsy-turvy the world is at that time in the book.
That doesn't sound very fun.
Don't knock it till you read it, Bubs.
Let me ask you this. When you're reading the book, are you having a good time, or do you just feel that this is what a good Christian should do?
No, it's interesting. It's not sad or boring or anything like that. No.
Nice. What? I said nice. I mean great.
Oh.
I mean great, okay. Great. Oh, okay. Okay, time.
Okay. Take
off swoosh.
For now.
Lyft is getting expensive, babes. It
really?
was about a $26 ride to get over.
26?
Yeah.
Good grief.
I know.
At least it wasn't 40 or 56.
And, I would take the TriMet, but I don't want to be forced to beat somebody up if they do something
with your cane. Yeah.
So let's actually talk about this.
All right.
A couple of days ago, I'm out on a walk, getting back to my place. And some guy who's around our age says, "Oh, you're good to go. There's nothing on the street." So I keep walking. He's like, "Do you actually use that stick?" To which
like pretty ignorant, yeah.
To which I reply with, "Yes, I use that stick." And he's like, "Oh, that's bad." He's like, "You're not bad." And I keep walking the entire time. He's like, "Hey, wait, can we talk? Hey, wait. And I just kept walking on by.
That really annoys me.
Yeah. Anyways. That's not the end of the story. It kind of is, but
okay.
I get home.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit upset.
Yeah.
Then I start thinking to myself, well, what if instead of the stereotypical thing to where I get angry and maybe I write a poem about this person or talk about it on a podcast, I actually do something proactive.
Uh-huh.
And the thought I had is, what if I got together a group of blind people and actually talked about what would be a good solution when we get approached on the street by annoying sighted people?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good idea because I've had many experiences, and most of the experiences I've had were people that were just seriously ignorant and they're just asking all these weird questions, and also people that are trying to give me directions when I know where I'm going. And I know exactly where I'm going, and I'm not lost. I'm not wandering, and they're still trying to give me directions as if they know where I'm going. And it's really, really annoying. I
think the NFB is a very corrupt organization.
As do I.
But I was actually a member, and
I know.
pretty into that world for a long time.
Uh-huh.
It was my experience with the cult.
Yes.
Having said that, they do have something called Meet the Blind Month.
Yes.
Which is in October.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be good to do a couple of conversations during Meet the Blind Month about this issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to talk to other blind people in the community and see what they've done, or and kind of think, well, would I do that or would I not do that? Because some people, we all operate differently. There are people that are more aggressive, and there are people that are like, things can be effective without being so aggressive about it.
And maybe find out or take a poll and come up with a name for the blind version of Karen.
Sharon? Darren?
I don't know. It should be a unisex name.
Yeah.
But we'll figure out something.
We will.
We were talking this morning on your couch.
Yes.
About the Free Britney movement.
Oh, yeah.
And I said something to the effect of, isn't it odd in this time where everybody's talking about cultural appropriation, that the only people who seem to get a free pass are rich white ladies? Right.
Well, and I made the statement that I think that they're, rich elitists in all different cultures, but in some ways, you're right. I mean, the rich white ladies, do get a pass for things like that, but then you've also got the young, especially the young rich white women who are starting these woke protests as well.
Yeah, but...
And they seem to get a pass on that.
I also said that if the situation was reversed and Justin Timberlake was the insane one, you wouldn't see a Free Justin movement.
You wouldn't, but I don't know that it is just for rich white women only. I think a lot of people do get passes on this. Well, what about that young rich kid? I forgot what his name was, but he was thinking that, he was going to get a pass on, the fact that he's a rich kid and he was suffering from affluenza and he wanted to get a pass for a crime that he did. I think he stole something.
I remember something like that.
It was ridiculous.
If I recall correctly, they did release him from jail fairly early, though.
And he got a pass for it.
Yes, he did.
So I don't think it's just for young rich white women, but in some cases it's for young rich white men too.
Let me rephrase this. So we definitely have two justice systems, one for the rich and one for the poor. But as far as how society looks on you, there's all this talk about white privilege. Uh-huh. The exception being if you're a rich and a woman. Then white privilege doesn't apply to you, apparently.
And they can lecture other white women about white privilege.
But it's weird, though, right? Because if you're a poor white woman who's struggling to feed her kids, then you have white privilege. But if you're rich, even if you're born into money...
Then you don't have any privilege.
Yeah, then you don't have any privilege.
You don't get a pass. I mean, you get a pass in everything.
And you get to be like some Rhodes Scholar on white privilege, too.
Yeah, they have more reasons to be Karens,
Exactly.
They have more reasons to be Karens.
Now, we should say this is my perception of things. And the Free Britney thing reinforces it in my head.
Why don't we talk about the whole Karen concept, shall we?
Tell me.
Well, I've been hearing that term recently in the last few years, and it always ends up being like some... a lot of times it's a rich white lady, but it also could pertain to a young rich minority that's just whiny and woke and all. It's
usually racist, not really woke.
Well, I mean, whatever, racist, woke. It's becoming racism is being used to promote wokeness, is what I'm trying to say.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, okay.
Yes.
It's. I think it's safe to kind of put it into one, it feels like it's being lumped into one category, right? Racist wokeism or woke racism, and I think race plays a lot into it, but you know what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Karen thing is very bizarre.
It is bizarre. I don't know why Karen is being used. It could have been used as a Britney or something.
Well, but the idea about it is kind of good because it's supposed to be a way to make people look at negative behavior and not do that type of stuff going forward.
Well, here's a question, because both of us are on the same page as Beto O'Rourke. He's really phony. Would you consider, if he was a woman, I don't know what name you would call this guy, but if he was a woman, I would consider him as a Karen.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see him just yelling at somebody. But the guy lost I almost said erection. An election to Ted Cruz. So what does that tell you?
Well, no, I'm not talking about him losing. I'm just saying that the way that his campaign was, I mean, he was saying that he was, he had some, I think he was like saying that he was Latin American or something, but he was actually, Irish.
Yeah, he's a weird one.
Robert Francis O'Rourke.
Nobody takes him seriously anymore.
No, and then he said that he was touting on him being a vet or something, or he was not a vet. I forgot what it was.
I don't know enough about that. I don't really think about him because he's not a political figure anymore. He's never going to be successful in politics. He's never going to win another election.
No, he was just one of those funny things that was going on, and now nobody talks about him anymore because he's that forgettable. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to use him as an example of the whole Karen thing.
Maybe he could be a Karen. I don't know. Yes.
They had to think of a name for a man.
See, this is why I think we really need unisex names for something like this.
Well, Tyler, Taylor, those are unisex names.
Tyler's not a unisex name.
Yes,
that's a guy's name.
No, it's not.
Taylor's a unisex name.
No, I meant a Tyler. There's a singer named Tyler Collins who's a woman.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I met a Tyler in college. That's a woman.
Yes.
Yeah, the Tyler is not.
I just remembered something, but we'll get to it in a minute.
What?
I'll tell you in a minute, babes, once you get off this.
Okay.
Yeah, eventually we'll come up with a good name that we can use to criticize people.
Vaughn is a unisex name.
Vaughn, nice, but it should be somewhat common.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll think of it.
Speaking of unisex names, babes.
Yes.
This week, can I say who I talked to? I think I can, right? Because it was in public.
Yes.
I asked this person a couple questions.
Can I say it?
If you want to.
You talked to Jesse the Body Ventura.
That is correct.
Which that's the last person I would think that you would talk to.
So Jesse Ventura is of course famous for being a wrestler and a politician.
Yeah.
And I remember in the late 90s when he first ran for office. Maybe it wasn't the first time, but it was the first time I was aware of it. I think he ran for governor. He was a mayor before then, so I shouldn't say first time. But
okay.
In any event, I thought he had some interesting ideas. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, I was a big Howard Stern fan, as you know.
And you still are.
And not as big as I was back then, though.
Okay.
Jesse Ventura was on this show, I think, 3 times that year. Uh-huh. And all 3 times it was super interesting. He was talking about his life, his thought that 9/11 was an inside job, which I don't completely agree with, but I don't completely disagree with either. And I don't know how he feels about that today.
Okay.
He may have changed his opinion.
Okay.
And he was talking about how corrupt politicians were. Huh? But he was also just like going along with the conversation. It was good flow.
Yeah.
And so I'm on Clubhouse on, was it Wednesday?
It was Wednesday.
When it opened up to the public.
Yeah.
And Jesse Ventura, along with his son Tyrell, when you said Tyler, it made me think of this.
Yeah.
Decided to come on the app. Tyrell has apparently been on there for a while, but Wednesday was Jesse's first day.
Okay.
Stephanie from the Clubhouse Town Halls was on stage as well.
Yeah.
A couple other people.
Yeah.
They agreed to take questions from the audience, and your man asked the first audience questions.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I asked
Was he very, did he seem very forthcoming?
He did.
Oh, good.
He did. I asked him when he was a young man, did he set off to live an interesting life, or did it just sort of happen to him?
Yeah.
And then I said to him, or I asked him, well, are you done with politics, or what are you thinking about that?
Yeah.
And he said the only way he would get back into it is maybe if he ran for president.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically his words.
Okay, he sounds like and didn't you say that he did some acting?
Yeah, he was in Predator and The Running Man and maybe a couple other movies.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And he was also, not only was he a vet, he was in the Navy SEALs, which is pretty high up there.
Yeah, it is. You really have to be, I mean, they really have to make sure that you're going to be good for the job. Yeah.
And I really like that he's critical of both sides of the political equation, because that's how I am.
So I'm guessing he's very, very critical of both establishments.
Yeah, like, he's definitely not a Trump fan, and I doubt he's a Biden fan, and he had many issues with Obama. And he said that he's going to do another Q&A thing next Wednesday, so I'm thinking about asking him some more questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you got to do that, because I've heard bits and pieces about him, and there were interviews that I listened to, and yeah, he's very passionate about a lot of things. Maybe some that I agree with, and maybe some I don't agree with. But
did you ever hear him on Howard Stern?
No, I never did. I don't listen to Howard Stern.
Did you ever listen to any of Howard's interviews?
The only thing I listened to that I actually found by accident was the one lady who claims that she slept with Jerry Springer.
Okay, that's right. You told me about that. But
that was weird.
You never listened to any of the celebrity interviews.
No, I'm not. I just, every time I think of Howard Stern, I think there's it just seems like very smutty to me.
The celebrity interviews are kind of hit and miss. But you might want to listen to the Jesse Ventura ones that he did, because those are pretty good, and I think they're up on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes. Even now, there's this weird thing that's going on where he's trying to rehabilitate his image and limit access to the old shows.
Oh, Howard Stern?
Yeah,
wow.
It's very weird as a fan.
Okay.
Because I love those old shows.
Because he wants to be innovative, right?
Well, that and more mainstream.
Okay.
And some of the old shows are a little bit out there.
Well, yeah, you have those weird contests.
Yes.
Very weird.
But I think you can still find the Jesse Ventura stuff, which is fun to listen to. Yeah. And I believe you'd get some good insight.
Do you think that he pushed the envelope? Well, I know that Jerry Springer was only, did a lot of stuff for TV.
Yeah.
But I think that Jerry Springer, in his own right, has tried to push the envelope with the punching the audience, or not the audience, but the participants punching each other on stage, and then they come up with these weird stories about the one guy, and they never aired the story, but the one guy who married a horse. There actually was on HBO. They actually played unedited versions of the Jerry Springer episodes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew that they released a home videotape, because I was dating this girl way back in the day, like the 90s. And I went over to her house, and her mom was watching the uncensored Jerry Springer videotape, or one of them.
It's ridiculous.
It shows you the type of girls I used to date.
It is gutter girls, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Poor white trash. No, yes. I don't know. Maybe she wasn't. Who cares? But anyway, that's, I mean, yeah, I remember they used to show it on HBO, and I'm like, I think about it back then because talk shows were really, really popular. And I used to watch a lot of Ricky Lake and Jenny Jones, because that's what a lot of the girls were watching. But Jerry Springer, I think there was something about Jerry Springer that was so odd that I'm like, is this really real? Is this really real? It
came out that most of it is fake.
There was a girl that was on the show. She was 13 years old, and she was living with her parents, and her boyfriend was living in the house with them, and I think her stepfather was 19 years old, so he was 6 years older than her. And I just thought this was such a weird episode. There were some weird things.
Yeah.
And I know that in Jerry Springer's own right, he's tried to push the envelope. And I know for a fact that there were episodes that that were advertised, but they didn't air them.
That could be the case. I wasn't that into Jerry Springer, to be honest.
I watched it for a little bit, and after a while, I just got so tired of it because I'm like, oh, this is just ridiculous now. I can't believe anything. Yeah, and then I used to watch Maury Povich until he started doing the paternity tests more, and it wasn't about anything else. Mm-hmm. You are not the father. You are the father.
Yeah, daytime TV is just awful.
Now I don't watch any of that anymore.
I don't even know how many of those old shows are still around. I think Maury might still be on the air, but most of them are gone.
I've YouTubed like Ricky Lake stuff, and there's a lot of old shows that I either have not watched or remember watching, mm-hmm. and some of them are interesting. And it was interesting even, looking back, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe they showed this in the 90s. And some Jenny Jones shows are on YouTube as well.
Do you ever think that maybe you could be doing something a little bit more productive with your life than watching smut?
Speak for yourself, Howard's doing fan.
Oh, Howard's different, though.
No, but
his was brilliant.
Smutty.
No.
A lot of smut on it.
No, okay, so they would do stunts, but there was always humor mixed in with it.
Well, the Jenny Jones show, some of the episodes were pretty fun and humorous.
No, but when Maury or Jenny or any of those people try to do smut, they usually, my take on it is they try to play it seriously. Howard would have fun with it and take calls and sometimes say this turned out a lot more boring than we thought, or it was a different version of that. It was a lot more intelligent.
I wouldn't consider it smut.
And also they did the news segment where Robin would talk about stories. That was
a radio show. I mean, this was just, oh my goodness.
Stop.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness.
I
thought there was a chicken twitch before then.
For now, puppy.
Oh, for now.
For now.
We'll get back to that a little later. But, listen to those old Howard Stern interviews with Jesse Ventura. I think you'd like them.
Oh.
Is that something you think you will listen to or no?
Not with, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
I think you should. Mm. You could potentially ask Jesse Ventura a question.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I have the mixer.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Very good. I don't know.
You might want to read some of his books, though. There's like 3 of them on Bard.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
About his life?
Well, I don't know what they're about because I haven't read them yet.
Mm-hmm.
Or listened to them, but I will at some point. Babes.
What's that?
Have you been doing any other reading this week?
Besides what I've been reading in the morning and,
The good book.
Bubs.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Your sarcasm is annoying.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Come on now.
Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, just those 2 books.
I read Nightline, History in the Making, which is kind of what it sounds like. It was written in the 90s, and it's about the program Nightline. Right? Mm-hmm. And I knew that it started off during the Iran hostage scandal, right? But what I was unaware of is that Ted Koppel was just a contributing reporter. He didn't become the host until a little bit into the show's run. I think that they were still doing the hostage thing every night, but he wasn't the initial host for the first couple of months, and then he took over. And it was a really interesting book. Now, of course, because it's an authorized thing, they're going to make it seem like Nightline was on the front of every news story during that time period. But for real, it was a show that I watched a lot, and I learned a lot from the book. For instance, I forgot about the Nightline town halls. And it talked about one that they did in the late 80s about the AIDS crisis. And they said that it went on for something like 4.5 hours.
About the AIDS crisis?
Yes, a town hall, which I thought was fascinating for the time.
In the 90s?
Yes. No, in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't really hear about AIDS until like late 80s, early 90s.
Ronald Reagan refused to talk about it until 1987, I think. And when he did, he said that something to the effect of it was just something that gay men caught because they were so promiscuous.
Well, a lot of people were saying that. A lot of people were. It wasn't just his opinion. There were a lot of people that were saying that because it started. I mean, there's a lot of opinions on how it actually started. Like a flight attendant got it from such and such, and I heard this theory that there was a French guy who got it from somebody from Africa or something.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
But the flight attendant was supposed to be patient zero. The rumor I always heard was he gave it to tons of people. Mm. And then I was reading something about a year ago, right after COVID started, saying that was not exactly true. The reports of that guy were a little bit misleading.
Oh, is that when in the band played on?
When I was reading And the Band Played On, they talked about that guy in the book. I don't remember his name, but I went online to do some more research, and that's where I heard that maybe they over-exaggerated the flight attendants' contribution to the AIDS virus.
Because I heard about that, like, I think I might have been in high school when I heard it, because I was hearing other things, and people speculated that it came from monkeys. It was odd theories about where the AIDS virus came from.
So there's many theories. One that was very popular when I was coming up was that people had sex with monkeys, and that's how it got into the human system.
Right.
Now, I believe a more popular theory is it's not that we had sex with monkeys, but that we ate monkeys. And somehow eating the monkeys, we got the disease of AIDS from that.
Ate monkeys?
Yeah, we ate monkeys. Not you and me, but some tribe did.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That doesn't sound like an appetizing food.
Well, no, and it's really gross when you consider how closely related humans and monkeys are. On the other hand, this tribe probably didn't have a lot of access to food either.
Well, yeah, some people had to figure out how to get food, even if it was the most disgusting thing ever.
Yeah, they still had to eat. And I've heard scientists, what?
Was there any other theories besides the monkey theory? And then,
I was about to tell you something, babe.
All right, I'm sorry.
A theory I've heard is that AIDS has been in humans for over 200 years now. But it was, for like the first 150 years, it was limited to this one tribe. Now, I don't know what's true and what's not.
Right.
But that's what I've heard. Because I'm just some guy with the podcast who asked a question to Jesse Ventura once.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So when in the book And the Band Played On, what did the author mean by the band?
I think it was just a title, and it was just because the band of people, I don't remember, to be honest. I'd like to give you a more intelligent answer, but I can't.
Wow.
Yes. It's a super long book.
How long was it?
I believe it was like 700 pages.
Wow.
It was good, though. I would reread it.
And then, did the author talk about where AIDS stands as of late, or
the book came out in the late 90s, or the late 80s rather.
Oh, okay.
So there was still a lot of, and the author ended up dying of AIDS.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that. Yes. Wow. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so
interesting.
Nightline was a super interesting program. They were talking to, they were also talking about the time that they took Nightline to Vietnam, and they were having like all these weird technical issues, and people didn't want them to broadcast, and how that, at least at the time, was considered one of their worst broadcasts in history of the history of the show, rather.
Oh wow!
It's so crazy because it used to be this really fascinating show, but now it's just a tabloid news magazine, basically.
Wow, it doesn't seem like
The same show.
The same show, you're right.
Yeah. And it's also really sad when you look at how Ted Koppel left Nightline.
And I didn't know that he was fired, honestly.
Yeah. I think what they did, though, to save face is they just didn't renew his contract.
Wow.
But in case you don't know the story, in 2004, we were in the Iraq War. And people were just starting to turn against the war. Mm-hmm. So Ted Koppel went on the air. I was watching that night. I hope this isn't my mind playing tricks on me, but I believe that they went commercial free. And Ted Koppel read the name of every soldier who had died in the Iraq War up until that point. And a lot of stations refused to carry the show. It was very controversial. And soon he was gone from the airwaves. Wow. Shortly after that, yeah.
Okay.
At least from Nightline.
Wow.
He did other gigs, obviously. But
obviously, yeah.
Obviously.
And he's still alive.
Obviously.
I believe.
Obviously.
I think he's still alive, right?
Obviously. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Obviously.
Do you think you're ever going to read about the history of Nightline?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of Nightline. I watched some, but I wasn't really interested in Nightline. Yeah. I was more interested in 2020.
That was a good show.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit different now that Barbara Walters is no longer. I don't even know if she's alive anymore.
I think she is.
She's old. But yeah, I remember back when her and Hugh Downs hosted 2020. I really liked it, how they did it. And they were old fogies by then. They
had chemistry because they were on the Today Show for about 15 years together.
Really?
Back in the 60s and early 70s, I believe.
Yeah, I liked how they hosted. It's like, I'm Hugh Downs and I am Barbara Walters and this is 2020. Da, 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 or whatever it was. Yep. That was for the ABC News though.
Yeah, but they use that for all the shows. For 2020. No, but they use that in 2020.
No, they don't.
Yes, they did. Maybe not now, but back in the day they did.
I don't know when I'm guessing 2020 has been around since the 70s, right?
77 or 78, I want to say.
I really want to look for their old shows.
I'm sure you can find them.
You know what? You remember that show, A Current Affair?
Yeah, that was.
I used to watch it when I was a kid, and that was with Maury Povich, of course. And I thought that was kind of a fun show to watch. And some of them some of the stories, I don't know if that was true. They were doing a story about what devil music is, right?
Yeah.
And they were comparing the Osmonds music to Ozzy Osbourne's music. Because I think he did a song, I think him and Black Sabbath did a song called Suicide something. I forgot what it was. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
For some reason, I thought it was Maureen O'Boyle who hosted A Current Affair.
No. I think she probably did that later on, but I remember when Maury Povich used to host it.
You're of a different generation too, sir.
No, I'm not, Bubs.
Okay.
I am not.
I thought you were.
We cross generations, Bubs.
Wait, hey.
Stop making me sound like I'm older.
I love you, babes. Oh, why do you have... What?
No.
Oh, come on.
Make fun of your Jaylo.
Make fun of my Jaylo.
Your joke's always funny.
All right, give me a kiss.
No.
Yo.
Do I have to?
You don't have to, but you want to.
Okay.
I love you, babes.
I love you, too.
Yes.
You be good to your Jaylo.
I'm always good to my Jaylo.
And she'll be good to you.
I'm always good to my Jaylo.
Most of the time.
My Jaylo.
My Jaylo.
Yes.
Yes.
My Jaylo.
No. I love you, Bubs.
Thank you, babes. I love you, too.
Yes.
I read you know, the one thing I want to get back to, the Nightline book first.
Yes.
Before we go off the topic.
Yes.
On the 40th anniversary of when Jackie Robinson joined the, what do they call the baseball league?
National, I forgot.
When he joined the National Baseball League.
Oh, I think that's what it is. I don't know.
I hope so. You should know better, but
no, I don't. I don't know. I mean, I know about the NFL and the
NBA is
National Basketball Association.
Yeah, well, we're gonna say NBL then, or
I have no idea.
Okay, when he started playing professional baseball,
yes,
integrated baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the 40th anniversary in 1987, and they have on Robert Kahn, who
Mm-hmm.
is a sports writer,
Mm-hmm.
and some other guy who basically was friends with Jackie Robinson and almost completely ruined his career that night on Nightline. Because of the way he worded things. But anyways, in the book they describe Robert Kahn as somebody who wrote about his time hanging out with Jackie Robinson in a book called The Boys of Summer. So I download the book thinking, oh, this is going to be very interesting. I can't wait to read about Jackie Robinson's friendship.
Yes.
And he's mentioned in the book, but it's not the main focus. It's mainly about Robert Kahn's life.
Wow.
Is it Robert Kahn or Roger? Actually, hold on. Hold on to this.
Okay.
Hold on to this because I'm going to check because I have the copy.
Okay.
Hold it up, Beeps.
Okay.
Don't throw it down.
No, I'm not going to throw it down.
Hold on. Hold it like that.
Oh.
Hold it.
Okay.
Right,
there we go.
Let me get the name of this book. People can avoid.
Okay.
Not avoid it. I hope I said the name right. You got me all mixed up today. It's
Roger
Kahn.
Roger Kahn.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
Not Robert Kahn. That's all right, Buffs.
Yes.
Sometimes I get names mixed up.
You got me acting crazy here, Jaylo.
It's not my fault, babu.
Oh, anyways, he wrote a pretty boring book, in my opinion.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so.
Is it really? You're like, well, yeah.
I'm like, this is not good.
This is not good at all.
But then, babes.
Yes.
I found a book by the director Michael Ritchie. It's called Please Stand By, and it chronicles the early history of television from the 20s up until the end of 1947. It's super interesting. I knew some of the stuff, but not a lot of it. For example, I had heard that the first TV broadcast was in 1926, but it was hard for me to really understand what that meant. You know, did that mean that like everybody owned a TV set or thousands of people? But apparently it was just like a couple dozen homes had access to the TV.
Wow.
And it's very rudimentary. I had also heard that the BBC launched their television service in the late 20s. Again, I was under the impression that meant it was, you know, up and running. And I would ask questions to myself, well, why don't we have any British sitcoms from the 30s?
Yes.
This book kind of explains that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so the BBC came on television in 1929, but they didn't have sound for the first year.
Yeah.
And even after that, they were doing very sporadic programming. They didn't start doing daily broadcasts until 1936, and it was mostly plays. And it was only for like 2 hours a day, right? I wonder if those tapes still exist. I know that the BBC for a long time was bad at keeping their archives. Like, did you know, babes, that the BBC didn't even bother keeping the tapes of their coverage of when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are missing.
A lot of things are lost to history, as they would say. But something they said that was cool. So England got into the war in, I believe, 1939. And they needed the spectrum that the television station was broadcasting on to devote to, you know, radio and making sure that everybody in the military could communicate.
Right.
So the announcement of the war comes in the middle of some program where they're showing kids' cartoons. Reporter or somebody from the television station comes on and says, "We have to interrupt this program. We just went to war." Or something to that effect. Okay.
Yeah.
7 years later, they decide to launch with the same anchor and the same cartoon. Mm-hmm. And he comes back on TV and he says, okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program. And he goes back to the cartoon in the same place that they had interrupted it 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was kind of like a funny,
that is kind of
cool
funny
thing to do.
And they weren't like political cartoons. They were actually kids' cartoons.
Yeah, they were for kids.
Wow. That's funny.
But World War II interrupted the evolution of television in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Yeah. They also mentioned that in 1941, the first talk show started in LA.
Really?
This is, I found this fascinating. Mm-hmm. And if I remember right, Michael Ritchie said that only about 40 people in the LA area had TVs at this time. But those people would tune into this show because there's nothing else on, you know. Mm-hmm. And it was a call-in show too. And because TV was such a new thing and it was in LA, they could actually get pretty high-profile stars to come on the show. Sometimes people would call up and invite the guests, along with the host, over for dinner. And oftentimes they'd accept and go over to the person's house to eat.
I thought that was really cool.
That was really cool.
I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Uh-oh, they're coming to get you, babes.
They're coming to take you away.
Yes. Ha, 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 ha.
Yes. Ha, 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 ha.
They also talked about how there was some experiments early on to do TV in color. Like in the early 30s.
Nice.
Or maybe even late 1920s. Mm-hmm. But it's very rudimentary and didn't really work that well.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a super good book.
Wow.
I would recommend it.
Interesting.
Is that something that you would consider reading?
Possibly.
Oh, there's also speculation in the book of when the word fuck was first broadcast. So there was some religious show in the 1930s, and there's an accident on set with one of the engineers. Mm-hmm. And he started cursing, but they didn't say if the word fuck was said then. But in 1947, there was a kids show and another accident. Some stagehand was walking backwards and tripped on something.
Ow.
And he clearly said fuck on the air.
You don't have to say it now.
What? What do you mean I don't have to say it now?
Goodness.
Oh my goodness. That brings me to a question that we're going to get to in just a minute.
Uh-oh.
So, children's television may be responsible for the first fuck on TV. How do you feel about that?
That's how I feel.
No, we don't
Tickle twoosh.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
How do you feel about that?
Which children's show was it?
It was, I want to say it was Howdy Doody, but I might be remembering.
Howdy Doody, wow.
Yeah.
It was a person that was actually a stage handler, or was
it was somebody who worked behind the stage. He had an accident. He tripped on something and said fuck. How do you feel about that? That it was either a religious show or a children's show?
I guess it's surprising. I don't know. But then I heard that there a lot of hijinks goes on behind the scenes at those shows. Mm-hmm. And some people are not at their best when working at a show like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
Oh, there was another cool story from the book too. Speaking about Hugh Downs, as we were earlier. So, Hugh Downs was around 20 at the time. This is 1943. This is super interesting considering that he was in his late 90s when he died last year.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. And he had already done some stuff on radio. He's hired to come in and do a news broadcast, like a quick 5-minute thing for this TV station. Goes to the place, and it is freezing cold.
I would imagine.
He sits down, and he thinks that, I might be dying of hypothermia. Mm-hmm. This one lady comes in. She's wearing like a mink coat. Mm-hmm. And she tells him, if you want, you can take off your jacket and your tie. Because he was wearing like a regular suit. Mm-hmm. He thought that she was crazy. Right as they're about to go on air, she takes off the mink coat and he sees that she's in a bikini. So he's thinking, oh man, this is a super bizarre. Why is this lady dressed like that?
Yeah.
Well, then they turn on the stage lights. It's a lot different now, but back then they needed a lot to get you properly photographed on TV. And he said, like, within seconds, he was sweating. They go live on TV, and he can barely read the news copy.
Yeah.
As soon as it ends, they turn off the stage lights.
And everything's cold.
And everything's cold again.
And I said, wow, that must have been, those lights must have emitted a lot of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And we think about, just turning on the light today and it doesn't give any heat.
It does.
I mean, it does, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Not to the same amount.
Not to the same amount, yeah.
Michael Ritchie was talking about how I think this person was an intern at NBC in the 30s. Mm-hmm. And people were doing experiments with TV here and there, but they really weren't keeping good track of it. Mm-hmm. For example, if somebody directed a TV program for NBC because it was only seen at Rockefeller Center and maybe a few TV sets around New York, they just throw out notes related to the TV show. Mm-hmm. And he said that this guy would pick up the notes and keep them because he knew that someday people would want to know about the history of early television.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And so many of these early programs are lost to history.
Wow.
Right? Because nobody was really watching them. Nobody thought it would be worth preserving. I'm curious, how do you feel about that? That we don't have these really early TV shows.
Well, I guess now it's, I think about it, it's like, well, it would be cool if they were archived better, but of course they didn't have the technology for it. And they didn't think it was worth, people would want to listen to it, but a lot of people are wondering about that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I Googled, how much did a TV set cost in 1930?
Uh-huh.
And, answers can be deceiving. I wasn't there. But it said on Google that it was the equivalent of $2,000 in today's money.
Wow.
So very few people own TVs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's a good book there. Jaylo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't you say you met someone that was born in the 1800s? 1899 or something? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I met a couple of people like that.
But you met them in the 90s, right?
I met them in the late 80s. My mom used to be a nurse's aide.
Late 80s, right. Okay, wow. Wow.
Fact, now that I'm thinking about them, some of them were probably born in the early 1890s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found on YouTube the other day maybe a 15-minute clip of something that is supposed to be a play that was broadcast on the BBC back in the 1930s.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I don't know. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah. I do wonder... I mean, I guess I understand why they didn't preserve that stuff as much as I would have wished. But I wonder how they would have done it. I mean, I guess it's not that complicated. They did have cameras shooting things. But I wish we had that stuff, babes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, you. Well, I've been taking up a lot of the conversation, Jaylo. What do you want to talk about?
I had a dream. Did I talk about that?
Not yet, no.
Yeah. I had a weird dream last night. It was very strange. And we just talked about this earlier this morning. But I think it bears repeating.
Well, it wasn't here, though. Now the world can hear about your dream.
No, that's what I mean. We talked about this earlier, and I can talk about it here.
Right, but you saying it bears repeating to people who haven't heard the story?
Well, I mean, it bears repeating to say it to you.
Okay.
Even though people haven't heard it. That's what I meant, Bubs.
Go ahead. I thought we had a truce. I thought we had a truce there.
Tickle juice. Tickle juice.
Babes, I love you.
Okay.
But you may want to consider going to a therapist for all your proclivities.
Bubs.
What? Whatever. You're like, Jaylo doesn't do criticism of herself, just so you know.
Bubs.
Go ahead. I love you, Jaylo.
Proclivity, schmoclivity.
Give me a kiss and then let's hear about your dream.
Okay.
Real kiss. Real kiss, Jaylo. Or else your armpit's gonna get it.
Ah.
Alright, now tell me about your dream.
Okay. So, I had this weird dream where my younger sister and I are in some kind of a building. I'm not sure if it was a mall or not. And there were these two elevators that were these attractions that you could use them to go to different floors, or you could go, up and down different floors, or you could go take the stairs. The different thing about these elevators were they were supposed to be like elevators / roller coasters, and they were supposed, and I think in the dream they were supposed to be set up like the Tower of Terror rides at Disney World, I think it is. And I heard some scary things about it. And the Tower of Terror is supposed to be set up like a really old elevator that goes down these steep drops and things like that. And I said, no, I'm not going to go. And so I think she goes without me, and I end up walking with this guy who's my boyfriend in the dream, but he's a young BJ Thomas, which is really weird because BJ Thomas just recently died 2 months ago. And
we established that before we met, you were into necrophilia.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. I thought we talked about that this morning. Keep going.
No, that was a dream.
Okay.
And you were joking about it. You're like, well, I just can't beat the dead.
Yes.
Anyway.
I do have a question for you that is not related to the dream.
Really?
Yes, this was the question I was thinking about earlier.
Okay.
When we were talking about children's television and the curses that can be said on that format.
Okay.
I like the term mofo.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's one funny mofo. Or, my friend, you know that mofo.
Yeah.
Or what's this mofo doing?
Yeah.
I haven't heard you use that term. Are you against it?
I've just never been interested. I know what a mofo is, of course.
But it's technically not a curse word.
Well, it's an abbreviation of what it actually means. But I don't know. I just never used it much.
So there could potentially be a situation where you would use the term mofo. You're not against it completely. You just have it.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm against it or not against it. I would just say that I'm not, that's not a part of, my regular vocabulary.
But it is possible. Okay, I can getting tense.
Babes.
Babes.
Are you trying to force me to say something?
No, babes. I just find it so odd that you don't swear.
It's not that odd, Bubs. There are people that don't talk like you either.
Okay.
Not everybody talks the same way.
Okay, what yes. Oh my goodness.
It's not odd, Bubs.
Oh, the other thing in the Nightline book, going back, I know I'm going all over the place.
Yes, you are.
But that's why you love me.
That's okay. You're all over the place, Rick.
That's right. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't go all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face.
Yeah, isn't it that Carl's Jr.
Slogan from the 90s, yeah.
I heard about that. I just never went to Carl's Jr.
Oh, they're so good.
Yes, they are.
Yes. So when we had that chicken sandwich, that was your first time experiencing Carl Jr.'s.
No. I went there in the past before we met, but I didn't go there often.
Yeah, no, I love Carl Jr.'s.
No, I didn't go there a lot, but I'm surprised I didn't. I don't know, because we didn't have a Carl's Jr. I don't remember having going to a Carl's Jr. in Hawaii either.
I think you're right. There might be one in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Maybe I went there once when I lived in Honolulu. But there's not a lot.
Because there's a lot of restaurants that didn't come to Hawaii yet.
Yeah.
That were from the mainland. The only ones that I know of were McDonald's, Burger King, Dairy Queen, and a few that were local, and some other local places, but not
local places are going to be.
Bubs.
Sorry, go ahead.
Come on.
Okay.
I don't want to think about the demise of local places. I hope not.
Okay, babes.
There was one restaurant that I used to go to because my aunt worked there, and it was called Jumbo's. They had some good food. They
also have Arby's, or at least they did in Ala Moana.
Oh, yes, they did have Arby's. I remember going there. I remember going there on a field trip. We all wanted to eat lunch there, and I had one of their roast beef sandwiches, and I had the curly fries.
I could eat Arby's all day.
I would agree, because I don't eat there very often, and I like their stuff.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay, so
the topic of restaurants.
The thing, going back to the Nightline book, is they talked a lot about the religious right, and apparently after Reagan won the election, they did this big, 2.5 hour special where they talked to different people, and I think, it was somebody who is big in the religious right, Jim Baker or the Swagger dude was on the panel.
Yeah, they were both.
One of those dudes.
Yeah, one of them. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just found that interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that was interesting too when you told me that Jimmy Swaggart was a cousin of Jerry Lee Lewis.
That's right. And it's not like they were super distant cousins.
No.
If you read about them, it's like they actually grew up together.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had some interesting. While Jerry Lee Lewis is still alive, I don't know if Jimmy Swaggart is still alive.
I think he is.
Wow.
Who knows for how much longer, though?
I remember when I saw that clip of him apologizing in public, and I thought, I have sinned against you, my Lord. And I heard about that on the clip, and I thought that was pretty phony.
Yeah.
And even my friends that watched it thought it was pretty phony. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Good. I thought you too.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it there, Jaylo.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a lot of televangelists when I was a kid, but I know some people who did.
I'm surprised you didn't, but I'm glad to.
Well, some of them were so sensationalized.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, did I tell you about the time where my grandma used to listen to this man named W.V. Grant?
I don't think so. The name sounds vaguely familiar, and I don't know why.
So I read that he was a part of a church called the Eagle's Nest, which later became the Crystal Cathedral with Robert Schuller.
Okay.
Anyway, so she used to listen to this guy named W.V. Grant. I was too young to understand why. And he came to Hawaii, and my mom took me to one of his things.
Oh, yeah, because your mom thought that he was going to cure your blindness.
Something like that.
Because your mom's really into that stuff.
Well, I think, I mean, she wasn't before. I don't know why she did. But she took me there when I was 4. Nothing happened. Nobody brought me up on stage. And I was thinking, what am I doing there? And this was around Christmas time. So right after his conference, we went to the Christmas tree lot and got a Christmas tree.
Wow.
But it was a weird night because I didn't even know why I was there. I just knew that, my mom took me by herself in the car to this, auditorium, and, there were supposedly a lot of healings going on, which I'm very, very skeptical.
No, those things are all fake. There's no healings.
No, I think it's sad that people like Benny Hinn and people like Benny Hinn profited off of people that profited off of healings that weren't even real healings, and the other people that came to be really healed, some of them went away and without getting help, and a lot of them some people have died.
Yeah, you're never gonna see, but I still love you, babes. What?
Oh my goodness.
What? I still love you, babes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a tragedy for you because you can't see, my awesomeness. But maybe it's a good thing for you because you don't have to fall in prayer every time you see me walk by, and that might happen if you're listening. Or it's full.
Bubs.
What?
Oh my goodness.
What?
Oh goodness.
What happened, babe?
You have some weird ideas, Bubs.
I don't think so.
What, that I would be tempted or something if I saw your face?
No, if you saw my face, you dropped to your knees just praying that, how can I be worthy of such an awesome man?
Oh, well.
What can I do to make his life better? God, give me a sign.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Bubs?
What?
Do you want to be tickled again?
No.
No, I don't. Not right now.
Hold this for another second. I want to make sure we covered all the books that I read this week.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you only read...
I just want to double check.
Hmm?
Hold on. Let me see. Did I read anything else? Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. This book isn't that good. But I did read John DeLorean's book, or listen to it, the one that he wrote.
You said it was good.
It was good, but it was kind of like a propaganda piece talking about, how awesome he was and what a great dad he is to his kids. And
That might have been true.
I doubt it.
Yeah, well, Bubs, you're cynical in a lot of things.
And how he was set up on those cocaine charges.
Yeah, but Bubs,
What?
you're cynical about a lot of celebs, though.
I'm sure it was very accurate. Babes.
That may have been true, Bub. You don't know that.
Maybe it was.
You gotta get out of that attitude, Bubs.
Oh my goodness.
It's unbecoming of my wig.
Okay, what ifs? I love you, babes, but what ifs?
What if to you?
Very good.
What ifs?
What ifs to you? Babes,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
We covered a lot.
I may have spoken too fast just because I was excited today.
Mm-hmm.
So I tripped over some words, but that's what you get when you get me.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Yes.
It looks like the cooking show is going to launch soon.
Yay.
So I'm excited. Alana may be a recurring person on it, but it's not going to really involve her. So
No, I'm just going to be the guinea pig.
yes, we'll feed you some food once in a while.
Yeah, and maybe the co-host girl, maybe the guinea pig at some time.
The co-host girlfriend lives in another part of the state.
Yeah.
Yes, so but one day we'll get you on there. I'm thinking maybe the second week.
I'm thinking either second or third week.
Yeah.
It's no rush. I mean, I want to know how that happens, how that turns out the first time.
I think it'll go good. I'm very excited about it.
Very good.
3 Blind Spice.
Yes.
On Clubhouse.
Yes, and hopefully by then I'll be able to be up and running with
You are thinking about getting the iPad then?
Bubs.
What?
I haven't. Well, actually, I have been thinking about it. I don't know about next month. Maybe. I don't know.
Well,
I don't even have an Apple account, Bubs.
Those are free to set up, babes, and I could help you with that.
Okay.
Yes. Well, anyways, we'll talk about that some other time.
Yes, Bubby.
Last chance, babes. Any last topics?
No.
All right. You want to give me a kiss?
No.
Oh,
no,
it is.
I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness. Hi, babes.
All right, Bubby.
I love you, Jaylo.
I love you too, Bubby.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.